Today I'm going to tell you about Guildhall Job Faire. This is a standalone expansion of the original Guildhall, so standalone that you can play without the original game, and that is precisely what I did. I'm reviewing the game as a standalone game. I haven't played the original Guildhall. I cannot compare them. But I can tell you that I enjoyed this Guildhall here quite a lot. It is likely that I'll pick up the original game at some point. Guildhall Job Faire comes with a substantial deck of professional cards, a deck of victory point cards, and at the beginning of the game you take 5 out. Well, you shuffle the deck, you randomly draw 5, which are placed face up, and at any point in the game there always are 5 victory cards available. And then the game also comes with a set of victory point tokens that are used in case victory points are earned by players in ways that are different from acquiring victory point cards. Acquiring victory point cards is one of the main goals of the game. The main goal is to acquire points in whichever way you can get them. The first player to acquire 20 victory points is the winner. At the beginning of the game, each player receives 9 professional cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. As you can see, each card represents a member of a profession, and cards can be in different colors. Here, I got a lot of peddlers. Actually, here I had another hand of cards that I had prepared earlier as an example, then I forgot that I had it. So I had the bricklayer, the scholar, the peddler, the hunter, the tax collector, the robber. They're just 6 professions that are available. Each profession has different abilities. Each profession comes in different versions, that is, there are different cards representing the same profession, and the cards all have the same function. The only difference is that they have different color in their background. You are basically trying to collect sets of cards of different colors, that is the same profession represented in all possible colors. So 5 bricklayers, 1 for each color in the game. Once you have one such set, well, that's good because that may be a step toward victory. The victory point cards have a cost. The cost is written here on the top, and that is the number of complete sets that you need to discard in order to acquire that card. So if I had, for example, 5 bricklayers, 1 card per color, then I could trade that set for a card that costs a single set. Actually, there is a 5 here, so why would I not get that one instead? Well, maybe because even though this is 5 points, other cards may have lower points, victory points, but other victory point cards also have special abilities that are connected to them. So you can choose to go for the one that is a lot of points, or you can go for cards that have powers and abilities related to them, in case that gives you a medium or long-term advantage, but you get an immediate number of victory points, which is lower than otherwise. Okay, so you start with your 9 cards and you put down 3 cards in your area before you, your guild area. Is that how it's called technically? Well, that's how I call it. This may be your initial area. If those are the cards you decide to put down, you could choose to put down cards at the same time, then you group them together. For example, if that's what you want to do. The only restriction when you're placing cards in your area is that you cannot have cards all that have the same profession and the same color. You could not have 2 red bricklayers in play. You could not have 2 blue robbers in play. Other than that, all is good. During the game, when it is your turn, you have 2 actions that you can spend to do any combination of the following. You can play a card, so you simply take a card from your hand and you play it down in your area. If it is a card of a profession that you already have, then you put, where is it? I thought I had the tax collector. There we go. If you have cards of the same profession, then you put them together in groups. When you play a card, you also resolved the effect of that specific profession. I'll get to those effects later. You can discard any number of cards from your hand and then you draw back up to 6, or you can spend an action to trade a full set of a profession or a group of sets for a victory point card. So as you can see, it is extremely simple. Play a card and or discard and or buy a victory point card, and again you can choose to do these actions in different combinations. It is that simple. Let us take a look at what the 6 professions in the game can do. The bricklayer allows you to draw cards from the deck and then you place cards from your hand back on top of the deck. The number of bricklayers that you have in your Guildhall area will tell the number of cards that are involved in this effect. For example, with 2 bricklayers, then you draw 5 cards from the deck and you put 2 back on top of the deck. The Hunter will allow you to look through the discard pile and swap cards from the discard pile into your Guildhall. Well, you swap them between your Guildhall and the discard pile. Again, the number of cards that are involved in the process is depending on the number of cards of the Hunter type that you have in your area. With the Peddler, you swap cards that are in your hand with cards that are in another player's Guildhall. That can mess up players' plans quite a bit. And also, after you have done that, you can take an extra action. That is pretty neat. The Robber allows you to take cards from another player's hand and you put them directly into your Guildhall. However, if you have only one robber, you have to do that blindly. You draw a card randomly from another player's hand, and if that card is useless to you because it's a duplicate, it's something you already have, then you simply discard it. It annoys the other player, but it is not as useful for yourself as other courses of action, maybe. If you have multiple robbers, then you have the ability to look at the other player's hand. But again, the other player may not have cards that are all that interesting to you. And if those cards that you get are usable, then you put them in your Guildhall. The Scholar, or like some people like to call him, Joel Eddy. I mean, look at him, that's just him. The Scholar allows you to draw cards from the deck and then you put them directly into your Guildhall. Again, the number varies depending on the number of scholars. And then there is the Tax Collector, and some people like to call him me. That's just kind of me, with a goatee, yeah, with more time spent on facial hair than I do. What does the Tax Collector do? It allows you to gain victory points that are equal to the tax collectors in your Guildhall. But there is a cost to pay for that, which is kind of counterintuitive. The tax collectors just collect. I guess sometimes tax collectors do give back to the community. When you do that, you have to place a card from your Guildhall in another player's Guildhall. When you use that ability, when you gain those victory points, you have to move a card from your Guildhall to another player's Guildhall. So that in essence is Guildhall. That is how it works. Oh, Guildhall Job Fair, I should say. It's a nice game. In a nutshell, it is really pretty nice. The rules are simple, very simple. You don't need to spend much time teaching the rules. The game is a little less light than one would expect from the rules. Not that it takes long to learn the abilities. I think that the icons do a very good job of reminding players about what the abilities are and what they do. It is not that simple of a game because of all the options that the players have. Discard this, exchange that, swap that, steal that. There are just many of these options, and unless you kind of like devote some attention to this, unless you really play seriously, quote unquote, well, then there is a little bit of a risk that the game feels random. If you have players that are not really concentrated on the game, they're just taking it as a beer and pretzel game and it's easy to mistake it for one, then the game may be random, at least for them, but then that may also bring a lot of randomness to your own gameplay because there's a lot of interaction here. On the other hand, the danger is that if players spend too much time paying attention to all the details, maximizing their options, trying to figure out every little thing that may happen and may result in their, from what their actions are, keeping track of what other players do, what they may have in their hand, what they put back on top of the deck, all these things are important. So if you have a player that actually takes this too seriously, then analysis paralysis is definitely a factor that may enter the picture. I know there are friends of mine with whom I'm not going to play this game because I don't think I will enjoy it. They're prone to analysis paralysis, even for games with games that have less of potential than Guildhall Job Fair does, and this one does. So my recommendation is find the right group. This will not be a game that will be all that fun to play with just any group. I think you need to find the group that knows that this is not a super late game, but does not obsess about details, does not obsess over complicated maneuvers that take half an hour to plan so you can get 4 points instead of 3. These people will make you want to strangle them, and they will just keep doing it because that is in their nature, and unfortunately the game may encourage them to do so. It is a game that has a potential for analysis paralysis. That being said, as soon as I read the rules, I figured out that that probably was a factor, so I simply did not play it with people that were prone to that type of problem, and I did not have any problem. What happened is simply that I had a lot of fun playing this game, because there's a lot of interaction. I like the professions, I like the special bits of the professions, I like that well balance, yes, between chaos and decisions that you can achieve with the right players in the right mindset. Very tense game, the moments when you're just waiting for a card and trying to figure out ways of getting that, and other people are messing up with your plans. All those are fun, interesting moments that definitely add to the experience of the game. Overall, this is a fun game. Light game for not too light and not too heavy gamers. So definitely enjoyable, and definitely makes me want to take a look at the original Guildhall. I know that the two games can be mixed together. As of now, frankly, I had a lot of fun playing this game. I'm curious about the other Guildhall, but I do not feel any need. It doesn't feel like the game is one of those games that needs to be expanded, needs to be customized right away after you play it 2 or 3 times. I played this game more than that, and I definitely enjoyed every game, and I think I can still play for quite a while just with the stuff that I have in this set here. Guildhall Job Fair, good game.